Welcome to another electrifying episode of the Commentary Booth live via satellite, where we peel back the curtain on your favorite wrestlers and their cinematic inspirations. I'm your host, Jamie Apps, and today we're welcoming a thrilling guest who is a fresh face on the Queensland wrestling scene, but one that is rapidly rising through the ranks. Joining us live via satellite today is Xtina Kade.
Hello.
How's everything going?
Yeah, good, good. Very tired.
Yep. Lots of training, lots of preparing for crazy amounts of shows.
Yeah, it's like you go through phases where there's just so many shows all at once and then nothing for ages, but it's all like the training in between. It's just been I've been doing like lots of cardio this week, so I'm tired. I don't do cardio.
The worst part of the training.
Oh, it is so bad.
And is that just sort of an issue in Queensland where there's like blocks of shows? Like it's all grouped together?
Yeah, kind of. Like I don't it's not something that's done on purpose. It's just sort of how it works out. I think because a lot of like promotions won't run sort of in like either April or May, it seems to be, I guess because of Easter.
Yep.
But it's I don't know how it works out, but it just seems to be like you're either doing everything or nothing.
Yep. Yeah, I
It,
know even looking at sort of planning some travel up that way, it was like there's big gaps of no shows and then there'll be like 3 or 4 shows back to back
yeah,
weekends.
it's insane.
So thanks for joining me on the show today to chat about sort of movies and their influence on your wrestling career. Before we deep dive into that though, how big a part of your life are movies and TV shows?
To be honest, like bigger than I realized. Growing up, I would never consider myself like a movie buff. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen, but at the same time, it's kind of like you have maybe like 10 or so like movies and TV shows that it seems like your entire life is centered around.
Mhm.
And it sort of, I guess, really influences the way you've grown up, sort of like part of your environment. Um, but yeah, it's like it's not something that I really think about. I don't consider myself much of a movie person. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but like when I do, it's always like the same things.
Yeah, I think that's it's kind of common. You're either someone that watches a lot of everything, or I think the majority of people, it's like very hyper focused on this is the stuff I like. I'm just going to watch the stuff I like, especially when you're crazy busy all the time and you maybe want to just throw something on at the end of the day to relax. You just want something that you know you're going to enjoy for half an hour to an hour.
Oh, 100%. Especially when like it's tough if you spend a lot of time on your phone or if you spend a lot of time napping. I'm real guilty of this. I have like a few movies that I will put on that I've seen a million times, but that I can close my eyes. I don't have to look at the screen because I know what's happening. I know who's talking. I know where we are in the movie.
Yeah, and you don't get stuck in that endless spiral of I'll chuck Netflix on and then you sit there for half an hour and you don't actually watch anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, as we move into the topics a bit further, the big question of the day: what have you chosen as the movie or TV show that has had the biggest influence on your wrestling career?
So I have picked Back to the Future.
Okay, the original, like the first one in the trilogy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's sort of because it's based on like characters. It's the whole trilogy, but in particular because the first one's my favorite, so we'll stick with the first one.
Okay, how were you first introduced to Back to the Future? Because
I,
you're very young, aren't you?
ooh, not as young as people think. So I'm 32 this year, um, but
Surprising.
I only watched Back to the Future. I think it wasn't until after I'd already like become Christina Kade. Um, as I was sort of developing on her character, it was probably only like a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago or something, that I actually watched all three of the movies for the first time. I'd never watched them before.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I know, it was sort of like it's been so long that you haven't done something that it's sort of like, I want to see how long I can go without doing this thing.
Mhm.
Because like they'd make fun of me for it. But I finally watched it, and it's actually not that bad.
Was there anything in particular that sort of spurred you on to finally break that and go and watch the movie?
Yeah, pretty much. So my tag partner Renegade, he sat me down and made me watch all three. Like there were three nights, and each night we'd watch one, two, and then three. And he forced me to, tied me to a chair and sat me down. Was like,
So then, obviously, if you started watching them quite late, what was it about them that sort of captured your imagination so much that it has then gone and influenced your wrestling career?
it definitely comes down to sort of Marty McFly as a character. Um, he's not so different to like me outside of the ring, where it's sort of like you've got this whimsical character. He's sort of happy go lucky, but he always finds himself in these sort of situations that it's like, it would only happen to him. It wouldn't happen to anyone else. And it's sort of like he has to really sort of make do with what he has and try to find his own way through things. It's just that sort of happy go lucky persona. Um, wouldn't a stiff breeze would blow him over type thing. But at the same time, he has a temper on him. Like he takes things to heart. Like don't call him a chicken because that's a challenge, and he'll bite back. And I found that just that whole sort of thing where it's like someone who's not, he's a little bit airheaded in a way. Um, just kind of finding themselves in these outrageous situations and making the best out of it. But at the same time, I am the kind of person that, I do have a temper. And as soon as someone's like challenges me and they're like, oh, I bet you can't do this, it's like, oh, I can do that. I'm going to do that. Even if I can't do that, I'm still going to, do it. And same as Marty McFly, like kick me down and keep getting back up. And it's like, why won't this person stay down? And that's sort of how I developed on my character.
Okay. It sounds like if that's your sort of personality outside the world of wrestling, it makes sense that you would somehow find your way into the world of wrestling because it is such an outrageous place to land.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you had the Christina Cade character sort of building before watching this movie, how did you sort of then incorporate it into the character?
I think it was sort of like before beforehand I was really lost in, I had no idea what I wanted from Christina Cade. Like I didn't know who she was at all. Um they always say it's like your character should be you turned up. Um but I was just really confused. I didn't know where I wanted to go with her. Like she's had a million different personalities, and then watching, it's not just Back to the Future either, but you find it a lot in a lot of those sort of like 80s teen movies. Um, but that sort of character I personally related to, but you get a chance to see them as a character, not as a real life person. And so
Mhm.
from there I sort of was like, okay, well, like Marty McFly, oh, he's so me. But then it was sort of all put on paper for how to be me as a character, like a caricature of myself, essentially.
Yep. Was it just sort of small mannerisms or things like that that you brought in?
Yeah, definitely mannerisms, and exaggerating things as well, like being really playing on that. I I like to call it like chihuahua mentality, like that really sort of aggression type thing and having that temper and embracing that temper and seeing how he reacts when someone calls him a chicken. And you sort of, it's one of those things where, like, in all the movies, someone will, do something like that, and it's like that sort of switch, and then you see him like start to really fire up and then bite back. And I was like, okay, well, that's what I need to do. And so I started doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's like for me the memorable scene is I think it's Back to the Future 2 with the hoverboard and that whole like fight in the sort of milk bar cafe thing. That's the scene that stands out to me that epitomizes that moment of he just snaps and goes a bit crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
In terms of sort of Back to the Future as a whole, if you're Marty McFly, who is your Doc Brown?
Definitely. It it's Renegade. Renegade is my Doc Brown. He goes everywhere with me. We're attached at the hip. Um, and if I'm ever like finding myself in a tricky situation, he's the one that helps get me out of it, but he's also the one that got me into it in the first place.
Mhm. It's always a fun dynamic, especially in a tag team, to have that sort of situation where this person gets you into the trouble. You have to sort of try and figure out how to get out of it, but
Yeah.
they're the one that also helps to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
then,
it's realize it either. It's like they're like, "Oh, this is what's happening." It's like, "No, you did this."
yeah, look what you've got us into. Why are we in this silly match now?
Yeah.
You also mentioned drawing some inspiration from other areas. What were some of the other films or TV shows that you've pulled from and taken inspiration from?
So definitely Encanto is one that I kind of, I mean, I've only seen it a couple of times, but what's her name? Louisa, the sister, the real big one.
I don't
I
know. That's one movie I haven't seen.
Oh, it's really good. I have to watch it. But she's one of the sisters in the family, but she's big. Like, there's pictures of her like all over the internet, but she's massive. She's an absolute beast. Um, but she's this sort of like soft little, like, she's just, there's nothing big about her personality, but like she's got super strength because they all basically, like, in this family, everyone has their own like magic power type thing, and hers is super strength. But she's just, yeah, she's still, she's still a woman. She's still beautiful, like feminine and all these things, but she's massive. She's a She-Hulk. Um, but in saying that, I feel like any female wrestler who has seen that movie will kind of look up to her because everyone loves seeing a super strong woman. Like, everyone.
Yep. And you do like powerlifting and stuff too, don't you? So it kind of makes sense that that all matches in.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm at the moment I'm not, but from time to time I will pick up a barbell with a lot of weights on it. But yeah, definitely, it is sort of, yeah. I lift, so.
Well, even in wrestling, you're always throwing around probably bigger blokes all the time.
Oh yeah, I'll try to. Bigger the guy, throw them all.
That's a fun thing to do and gets a great reaction when you throw around someone that the crowd probably thinks, "Oh, there's no way this girl can do this."
Yeah, honestly, like, the crowd love it. It doesn't matter who you're throwing. It's the crowd just want to see girls throw other people. They absolutely love it, and it's my favorite thing to do because it makes you feel really good as well. Like, even just picking someone up who's massive, like, and seeing how far you can throw them. But yeah, it feels good.
So then, in terms of Back to the Future as well, throughout the movies, there generally is that sort of bully type. Who in Queensland wrestling is kind of the current foible for Christina Kade and Renegade?
Decadence by far. It's been decadence since the start. Like, I haven't had all that many matches, but I think more than half of them have involved one or both members of Decadence. My very first, like, my in-ring debut was a title match against them, and because we're sort of freebirding it because there's a few of us like in Strong 94. So I came in to help defend them. I lost to them. And then for a different promotion, we found ourselves in another tag match, for like to be the inaugural tag champs. I lost to them again, and it's been a thing ever since. It's always them, always.
I do find that fun in wrestling where even like within different promotions, across different promotions, there always seems to be like those two people or two teams that just are inextricably linked. Like you just can't escape them for some reason.
Yeah, 100%. It's good though, like because you really get to know how they work in the ring, and I feel like every match just gets better and better, which is quite fun.
Especially when you're sort of early into your career as well, just having that little bit of familiarity every
Yeah,
show. It's not a totally new experience every time.
yeah, definitely makes you feel a little bit like more secure.
Over the time since that debut match, how has the Christina Cade persona evolved, or has it evolved at all?
Yeah, definitely she's evolved a lot. Um she's sort of
Is
embraced
it just
her.
is it just sort of knowing what you want to do with the character now that has really helped?
I think so. Um Knowing what you want to like where you want to go with the character and sort of understanding the character itself. Um like I always find I go in with these ideas and I'll try to portray them and it won't land. Like what I'm trying to put across is not what everyone else is interpreting. So I find like learning how to get other people to see what I see in Christina Cade. But yeah, she's definitely started to embrace her goofy side a little bit more and I guess become a character. Like that first match, she came out as just like generic wrestler
Hmm.
number 3 or whatever. Um, but now like she is becoming a character and it's sort of as it goes along, the audience is connecting with her a bit more as well, I feel, which is only going to help her develop a lot more.
I think that's probably something a lot of people can take away from those first sort of experiences in wrestling to, yeah, embrace the character, embrace the goofiness because like in the grand scheme of things, it's wrestling. People are wrestling in tight outfits, lycra. It's like it's a silly sport, really. So just embrace the silliness, and that's kind of what people connect with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I was talking to uh, Craven recently, and we were talking about how Kurt Angle was like always this incredible technician, but it wasn't until he put on the cowboy hats, started spraying people with milk and singing, people went, "Oh, now we connect with this guy."
Yeah, and it's like wrestling's meant to be fun. And so it's like, why wouldn't you want to embrace the silly side and be a little bit goofy? Because not only are you going to have more fun, but you're going to, you will connect with the crowd a lot more. And then they're going to have more, everyone is going to have more fun if everyone just stops taking it so seriously all the time.
Yep. Yeah, like there's definitely a time and place for the serious match. Like if it's a like with you guys in the tag team, like a long running feud, eventually it gets to that grudge match. But until then, let's be silly with it and have everyone should just have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're having fun, the crowd's having fun, it works for everyone.
Yeah.
Has there been anybody within wrestling that has sort of helped you in that evolution process? And if so, what was the sort of best piece of advice you were given?
Oh, honestly, so many. I feel like everyone around me has kind of helped, whether they meant to or not, they've helped sort of build this character. Um, but Bobby Bishop's a big one. Funnily enough, because like he's always taking jabs at me and ribbing me and stuff like that, and really bringing out like bringing attention to the fact that I am a bit airheaded. I don't know what's going on half the time. But helping me to embrace that and putting it in the ring. But even like obviously Renegade's a big one. Um, just in life because he probably spends the most amount of time around me. Um, just things like that sort of helping me. I don't know how to really describe it because everyone's just like subconsciously helped me or given me advice without actually giving me advice about like learning to believe in the character.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that's a big thing is believing in the character because if you don't believe in the character, then it's not going to come across. It's going
Yep.
to show you playing a character when it's like, no, you have to be that character. Um, but even Lil Mars, seeing how she plays her character and being able to use that in our like our real life dynamic because we're quite close friends being able to compare that to our characters and how we would react in the ring together and things like that. It's just sort of, I guess, the way it's helped me do things is turn everything from real life, taking elements from real life and then putting them in the ring and turning it into a character.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like someone has to sit down and have a hard conversation with you about this is what you need to do. It might just be, oh, this one little thing that worked. Do more of that sort of stuff. Like it might just be a quick 2-second thing.
Yeah, and that's a conversation I had with Charlie D about things that work and things that don't work that I have done. Um, I had to mention him because if I don't, he'll kill me. But definitely, he's another one that's had a big influence on building my character.
Yep. And you mentioned sort of Bobby Bishop picking on you. He seemed to
Yeah,
pick on you and Lil Mars quite a bit online.
yeah, absolutely. You you got to let him have it every now and then, you know.
We'll have to get him on an episode and ask him about his inspirations and stick it to him on why he's picking on the girls all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we look ahead, what's in store for you in wrestling? You were obviously very busy, but what are the big things coming up?
I actually think I have a little bit of time off, which is good. So I think it's just going to be being in the gym, sort of building up my strength and things like that. And then from there, I think it's just going to be taking a bit of time to work on my character a bit more and think about where I want to go with things because like a lot of people, not just in wrestling in life, like I suffer from like anxiety. I have autism and things like that, so it can be really hard to sort of navigate the world. And I think a lot of it is going to be putting myself out there, taking risks. I think the next few months is going to be about getting out of my comfort zone a bit more.
Mhm.
Um, going to a few different places that I haven't been before, and then hopefully by the end of the year, looking at a bit of travel.
Yeah, very nice. And yeah, I think just because you've found something that's kind of clicking at the moment, it's always important to sort of keep an eye on what's next and further down the line so that the character doesn't stagnate.
Yeah, 100%. It's only going to get bigger and weirder.
In Back to the Future's terms, I think that's something that you can pull from that movie series as well. Like they literally just did the 3 movies and they stopped at that, even though it was this incredibly popular series, which like we've seen like the Ghostbusters, they're spinning that off over and over again. Like, but Back to the Future, they just went, here's the 3 and we're never touching it again.
And that's all it needs. They go back, they go forward, and then they go back.
Yep. On
So,
that front, you mentioned the first one is your favorite. Where do you rank the 3?
oh, um, I think best, obviously number one, and then I think number two, then number three.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
people are going to disagree with that, but I think for me it goes one, two, three.
I would personally disagree. I go 2, 1, 3, but much of the same. I think the
Yeah.
first two are easily the strongest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like the third one's good, but it's just I feel like they did a lot more in the first two that they just couldn't replicate in the third.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that's everything, and hopefully I'll be up there in July. So we'll hopefully catch you at Pro League for that big show on July 20th. That'll be fun.
I will be there.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth live via satellite. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow me on social media at JamyUps Media and at Pario Magazine. Xtina, thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. Why don't you go ahead and sort of let everybody know where the best place is to follow you and track this wrestling journey moving forward?
I don't even remember my username. I think it's Xtina Kade PW on Instagram, and at the moment that's the only place I'm at. But yeah, chuck me a follow.
Perfect. Alrighty. Thank you and good luck with everything coming up.
Cool. Thank you so much.